Hi, Dr. Patrick Gentempo here, and thank you for joining us on our YouTube channel. We have great content in store for you. I'm so excited to be here with you, and let's jump right into it.
One of the reasons I didn't buy Bitcoin back in 2010, right when I first was told about it, was because one of the problems I had with it is like, okay, yeah, this is pretty cool, but what stops somebody else from coming up with another one just like it? There's, well, nothing. Anybody can come out with one. I'm like, well, there's your problem right there. It's not really scarce because you can have an indefinite supply of digital tokens that have identical properties. They'll just have a different name, but a rose by any other name. I mean, it's the same thing, or in this case, not really a rose, but something that doesn't smell good. But now we have over 11,000 of these things. And what I think is really funny, I get a kick out of this when I see these or hear these Bitcoin maximalists come out and criticize Dogecoin. And they're like, oh, this is crazy. That's a joke. How can you buy that? Well, the joke is it's no different than Bitcoin. That's why it was started, to highlight what a big joke Bitcoin is. And the fact that the people that own Bitcoin don't understand this, they're the ones who don't get the joke, right? And the joke's going to be on them because they own Dogecoin. They're all Dogecoins. I don't care what you want to name it, or Doggy Coin, whatever the real name for Dogecoin is. Maybe it really is Doggy Coin, but they put the Dogecoin on it so it wouldn't sound bad, but it was supposed to be bad, right? Doggy Coin. So you can try to say something with a French accent to make it sound fancy. But I used to have a joke. There was a discount store in Connecticut, Marshall's, which sells discount. People say, well, it's Marshall's. Try to spiff it up, make it sound like it's fancier.
Target is another one that I've heard. Yeah. So you mentioned gold, real gold, and so here's something that's perplexing to me. It seems really hard to buy physical gold, but the price doesn't seem to move. So why is gold not going up in value?
Gold is not hard to buy. I mean, gold is very easy to buy. I mean, you can call up Schiff Gold right now and buy some gold. We'll ship it right to you. You can buy gold. There's a lot of local stores that have gold coins that you could buy. But of course, the markups will be a little higher, just like anything. I mean, the cheapest way to buy it is just go on the phone and buy it from a firm like mine. Just like a lot of people go buy things over the internet these days on the telephone because they get a better deal than just going to a local brick and mortar store. You could get physical gold pretty cheap. Now, there are a lot of other folks out there, a lot of other companies, I don't need to name them, but the majority of them are ripping people off because unfortunately a lot of people aren't that educated about gold. And before they get educated, they get ripped off because they buy gold and they end up paying these huge markups. And they get talked into buying these crazy, collectible or, rare or supposedly rare, but not really that rare coins or proof coins or stuff like that. And unfortunately, a lot of conservative talk show hosts are paid a tremendous amount of money to shill for these companies that end up ripping up these talk show hosts' audiences. I don't know to what extent this talk show hosts even realize how much their audience is getting ripped off, but they have to try to understand, like, where are these companies getting all this money to pay us? Right. Because, if our markups at Schiff Gold are very, very low, I mean, we couldn't afford to pay anybody. I mean, I promote Schiff Gold for free, but they couldn't afford to pay me because we don't charge enough, right? It's very small. And we're not the only reputable gold dealer out there. We're one of them. And so if you go to Schiff Gold, you're not going to get ripped off. You're going to get a great price on physical gold and silver. And particularly gold is very easy to store yourself. It's not, anybody can store gold in their house. I mean, very few people will ever own enough gold to fill up a shoebox. Right. So, I mean, it's easy to, store it somewhere and keep it safe. And if you ever need to transact in it, I mean, if you have smaller denomination coins or, you can have silver coins for that. And we sell this barter bag where you have 1 ounce silver rounds, or people can buy some old, quarters or dimes, half dollars. And, they're pretty good way. They call it junk silver. But I mean, and that is really untraceable. You get that. It's very private. It's very secure. You can't, I mean, if you have Bitcoin, in a wallet somewhere and you're transacting with it, I mean, the government knows everything you do. I mean, it's all traceable, unless you're just like writing down your code, and just going to hand it to somebody like physically. But when you're going to do that, you might as well just hand them a silver coin as your seed phrase or whatever it is, or to your Bitcoin. It's easy to get ripped off. But one of the ironies, when I first, heard about Bitcoin, one of the things people told me, and of course, all the stuff I was told early on, none of it happened except the price went up, right? All the stuff that they said was going to happen was pure BS. Like, well, you can't use your gold to buy a cup of coffee, but I could buy a cup of coffee with Bitcoin. Oh yeah? Try buying coffee with Bitcoin. I mean, it would make the coffee so expensive, nobody would want to do that, right? No one's buying coffee with Bitcoin. It's easier to buy it with gold or buy it with silver than Bitcoin. But one of the things people said is, well, no one's going to want to buy gold because, it's so expensive to store. You need a third party. Now you have all these Bitcoin guys saying, well, what's going to really make Bitcoin big? The ETFs, right? Because, people don't want to buy Bitcoin themselves. It's hard to buy. It's hard to store. People are afraid they may lose it. So a lot of people don't really want to buy Bitcoin, but they'll buy an ETF. Well, wait a minute. The minute you have an ETF, now you've introduced a third party. Now you've got storage.
Can you just explain in case somebody doesn't know what an ETF is?
An exchange-traded fund. And in fact, what they already have right now is this Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, because it's not an ETF, but the thing has a 2% a year management fee. So not only do you not own your own Bitcoin, you're paying a third party 2% a year. Nobody pays that much to have their gold stored. I mean, maybe 20 basis points. It's 10 times as expensive to store your Bitcoin with the Grayscale Trust as having a gold ETF. But people were buying it, and for a while they wwere paying a huge premium to overpay to have their Bitcoin stored. Now it's at a big discount because people at least wised up about that, right? They didn't want to buy it. Now the reason people buy it is because it is at a big discount. So you can get Bitcoin cheaper by buying Grayscale than by going into the market and buying it itself, which shows you that the so-called institutional demand is already disappearing because it was supposedly the institutions that wanted Grayscale because they were the ones that needed the custody because of compliance reasons. But they're making the argument in favor of Bitcoin that they made against gold. They're saying that what's going to benefit Bitcoin is having more third parties involved to store it and charge you money. And of course, when Bitcoin was originally marketed, it was supposed to be a medium of exchange, right? You were supposed to buy coffee with your Bitcoin. But then when that didn't work out, that's when they reinvented it as digital gold, right? Well, it's not, you can't actually use it in commerce, right? Like people don't use gold. So it's just like gold. It's just worthless and people just hold it because they think it has value. In fact, the most ridiculous things that people in the Bitcoin community say are not the things they say in favor of Bitcoin. It's the things they say against gold. Because in order to try to, make Bitcoin look good, they have to go out of their way to make gold look bad. And so they have to come up and say all kinds of ridiculous things like gold has no value. Gold is worthless. It's like, what? How is that possible? How is the most useful metal in the world somehow has no use, has no value? I mean, they say Bitcoin has utility and gold doesn't. They've got it backwards. It's gold that has utility. It's Bitcoin that has none.
Thanks so much for being here and watching that video. And can I ask you to please subscribe to our channel so you can find out when we're posting new content. You'll be alerted right away when we do. To share this with people you think might benefit from the information, and certainly it helps us if you like the video. So if you like what you just saw, go ahead and hit that like button. And again, thank you so much for being here with me right now.